Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial we'll be learning how to make this beautiful bubu, or do I call it a butterfly dress. I am showing you two different patterns just to show you an idea of how to cut this design. Okay, this is my basic dress pattern. If you like, you can make it long. This is just like a by 47. I think it's not that long, but I'll just teach you how to go about the pattern. You can make it the way you want. I'll give you an idea of how it is. We'll make a sample of it, a rough sample. Actually, it's not a perfect work, but I'll just show you how it looks like. So after drafting your pattern, you mark your neckline. Whatever neckline, it can be V-neck, it can be halter neck, it can be any neck you want is fine. So I'm using this pattern for both the front and the back. So I marked the neckline for the back. I used 3.5 inches and by 1 inch depth for the back. Then I used 3 by 3 for the front, although I might still edit it. Now the next thing is to mark my bust span. The bust span is your nipple to nipple. That is the way you take your dart. So I'll mark my bust span. What we want to use this bust span to do is like a guide, so that we'll know how to shape the dress. So you just mark it the straight line from the top to the end of your dress. The next thing I'll do is to mark my bust line. The reason for this bust line is just for a guide too, so that I will know where my bust is exactly. And now to shape this dress, it depends on what shape you want. If you look at the two styles, they have different shape. So you just pick the style you want and you shape it. Now on this bust line, I extended my bust point is 4 inches, but now I marked 5 inches. And on the waist, I marked 3.25. The markings are not static. You can determine what you want to mark. Now on the hip line, I came in by 2.5 inches. So it depends on the ratio of the clothes inside and the side one, how you want it to be. So I will join these points, and the shape at the lower part too depends on how you want it to be. This tutorial is just to give you an idea of how the design can be achieved, so you can now modify it to your preference, what you prefer. Now I want the center design to start from my shoulder, the end of the shoulder, so that is why I connected it like that. So you make sure you perfect the design, the shape. You shape it well and you perfect it. That is what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure the shape is okay, and if it is not okay, you can still adjust the measurements. You know, this measurement has to do with the proportion of your body, how the difference between the bust to the waist, the ratio bust to waist and the hip. So you just determine how you want it to be and draw and mark it out. I'm okay with the shape now. The next thing is to cut it out. So one will be for the center and the side, the center and the side. So this center is what I will use to cut the back and the front, the center back and center front. The only difference is I will add zipper allowance to the back, and I will modify the neck the way I want it to be. Then when you're sewing this tie, make sure your center fabric is thicker than the fabric you will use for the side, because if you use the fabric in the center, if it is not thick and the side one is thick, the clothes won't balance well. So make sure the two fabrics you are using, the center fabric is thicker than the side one. You can use chiffon for the side or anyone. Just make sure the center one is thicker. And also the center one too can be stretchy. I think stretchy material too can work. Alright, so this is what I have. I'll place it on my fabric and I'll cut it out. This fabric is for trial. It's not really a very nice fabric, but just to try to show you what it is. So I added seam allowance by the side, half-inch seam allowance, depending on what you use, but I think half-inch is fine. Then the zipper allowance. Now the next thing is to work on the neckline so that I can cut the front. I initially wanted to put a keyhole at the front, but later I changed my mind. I said, okay, let me make a v-neck, since it is just for trial. So you can just decide whatever neck you want to use, and you just cut out your neckline and cut exactly use the pattern to cut the front of your dress. But remember, this time you are cutting on fold. So just watch me cutting, and later I change it to v-neck, and later I just decided it doesn't matter, whatever neck is fine. So after that, I'll just use it to cut my pattern, and I'll come back to show you what I have. So at this point, I already cut my fabric. I cut it on fold and I added half-inch seam allowance by the side. So this is basically what we have. Now I will pick the side pattern so that we can cut the side material. I'll be using chiffon just to explain. You can use any material. Chiffon too works well. So when you pick your chiffon, you are going to fold it. The length should be the length of your dress. And I must say here that because you'll be joining this dress, if your length is 58, please add 2 or 3 inches allowance, because when after joining it might be short than what your expected length. So please make sure you add 2 or 3 inches to the length. So now this is the chiffon. I already folded it into 4. This side is folded, that side is folded, and that is the open side is into 4. The shoulder of this chiffon, there won't be sewing at the shoulder part. So I'll just place the pattern on it. I'll place the pattern on it. And now this is the tricky part. It depends on how you want your sleeve to be and how you want the side to be. If you check the two images we are trying to portray, one has an open butterfly, like a butterfly's bubu, and the other one was sewn and the hand carved out. So at this point, you determine what you want and you cut accordingly. So the first thing I did here is to cut this. This is the part I'm joining back with the center. So I'm cutting it, and I will add my half-inch seam allowance. As I cut, I'm adding my half-inch seam allowance. Then we'll now determine how we want this our bubu to be when I come back. Now let's work on the sleeve. Your sleeve length, whatever length you want. Here I'm using 18, so I marked 18. And I'm trying to show you the Ankara type, that is of the image. So you determine how wide you want your sleeve to be, the sleeve opening to be. Remember, the Ankara has like a belt at the tip, so you measure it. Here I measured 11, but if you want yours to be more than 11, then you measure it. The next thing is to determine how many allowance I want to add to it. Okay, so I am trying to decide the allowance I will use. Eventually, I added 13 inches. So on the waistline, 13 inches, on the hip line, 13 inches, and I joined it. This is at this point I'm still trying to calculate the allowance I will add. I've not decided. I realized that it wasn't coming out the way I wanted it. So I now said, okay, let me add 13 inches to my waist, 13 inches to my hip, and shape it out. But if you are not doing it the Ankara way, if you just want to do it like the normal butterfly, you just pick the allowance. Maybe from that sleeve that we used 18, you just go straight down. You just mark your 18 from the shoulder, that is on the sleeve. Then you just go straight, you mark it straight down, and you cut it out. But here, because the Ankara style is shaped, that's why I'm trying to make it shaped. So I already marked it at the hip line, then I marked 13 at the down part, and I'll just go straight down. And also, if you still want it to be like my hairline at the lower part, you can diverge your hand, you can move outward. But so this is basically it. The next thing is to cut it out. The next thing is to cut it out, and we'll go do the joining. You join, and the work, you have to be careful while joining. If then you have to iron very well. I think you have to iron very well, and at that shoulder part you notch so that you know where the shoulder is. But before we join, we have to go first and work on the center front. Turn the neck of the center back and the center front. Then put your zipper, or you just join the zipper allowance. Then you join the sides. Just keep watching, you understand how to do the joining. So this is me here notching the shoulder part. So one is for the right and the other one is for the left. Don't mind my work, I didn't iron. Please, as you are sewing, make sure you press it. Okay, so I already joined the shoulder. I already used facing. I used facing to turn the neck. If you like, you can tape it. So I already joined the front, turn the neck of the front and the back. I joined the zipper allowance. So the next thing is to pick the side, and I'll follow the curve using my half-inch seam allowance. Using my half-inch seam allowance, I will use it to join both the right side. I'm starting from the shoulder. I will start from the shoulder. I'll use it to join both my right side and my left side. And I'll come back to show you what I have. Alright, this is it. The next step ideally is to go and iron. Please, as you sew, don't forget to iron. This is just a trial version. That's why I'm not bothering myself with ironing. Okay, so this is it, front and back. Now because it's the Ankara version, the next thing is to go and join the side. You join, that's the shoulder. I'm showing you the shoulder. Okay, the next thing is to join inside. You join the shoulder. But if it is the other version, the white and black version, that one you just want to, you put taping, like you know it has another black material, then you tape it and you knit it. That is what you do. But for here, you join this side, you leave only the sleeve, you leave only the sleeve, and you join the side. Then after joining the side, you use a band or to sew the sleeve, so that you can have that band and tie effect on the Ankara. Then after joining the side, the next thing is to now use your exact measurements to sew it outside the way I'm showing you. Sew it outside like the way we sew our normal butterfly. So this is it. This is what we have. It's actually easy.